Welcome to the Mental Health Hour. This is episode 62. 62 episodes. Today we're discussing implicit and explicit memories. I believe this was a viewer request. Is that
It
right?
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
Okay. So we do like to do viewer request episodes. So please um, go ahead and if you have a topic that you'd like to hear us talk about on the show, we're always open for suggestions. Especially we like doing viewer requested episodes because it's more engaging, um, and some of them like today, I'm not as well spun up on,
Hmm.
but um, that's part of the fun of doing the show is getting more knowledge, more research done. Hattie, good evening. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. There's Blaine and Tracy coming in. Hello to everybody coming in to the stream. It's good to see you guys. Like I said, today we'll be talking about implicit and explicit memories. So essentially, as I was talking with Gemma before the show, uh,
Hmm.
essentially this is an episode about long term memory because both of those implicit and explicit memories fall under uh, long term memory. Blaine is listening while he works. Very good, Blaine. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Um, Danny Bruno, hello, everybody. Thanks for coming in and joining us again for another episode. Um, so, Gemma, how are you doing this week?
Um, Certainly better than I was last week, and my voice is back to normal.
That's good.
Always a good thing. Not too bad. Not too bad. The heat wave that we've had's been killing me, but other than that,
Yes, I should probably mention it now. Good evening, Michael Joseph Murray. Good to see you. Um, should go ahead and mention this, get it out of the way, just in case anything does happen. Um, as you guys know, who've been watching every week, we've been up against it here recently um, with Penelope not cooperating with our quiet on set rule,
yeah.
and tonight we have some wild thunderstorms coming through my area. So um, we've had one power outage just about probably about a half hour ago, but it's still raining pretty good right now. So just in case anything does happen, I'll be right back on. So we'll figure it out.
Please no.
But with that all said, I'm sure um, everything will be fine. So, and for now, Penelope's fast asleep as well. I feel like I should say that every time too, just to wake her up.
Don't jinx it.
So let's go ahead and start off the evening. Gemma, what do you have for us as far as can you give us a starting point on implicit and explicit?
Um, yes, I had to obviously refresh a little bit because when you're talking about memories, you don't automatically call them and label them implicit and explicit memories. Although the way that I do remember explicit, you think about explicit being uncensored and just everything, all the bad stuff, like explicit language, explicit content. And that is literally the way to put it with when it comes to your memories. Explicit memories are like the things that you are like consciously aware of all the time, and they can often be, certainly as I find, the bad things that have happened to you, like the memories from the past that are there all the time, and that's usually the way I think of it,
Mm-hmm.
because generally, as a rule, the things you don't want to remember from your past are usually the things you can remember. because when it comes to memories and things that have been traumatic for you, you can usually remember them pretty well.
Yes, we've done several episodes on trauma, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last week we touched on triggers, which delved into trauma, which is all explicit memories. Um, uh, Basically, what I've learned, I mean, from the research I've done, implicit is kind of that intuitive long-term memory, that intuition, the stuff that you never forget, like you know how they say, just like riding a bike. Um, all of those memories that are just like riding a bike. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, these are the implicit memories, and then explicit memories are things that you have to try and remember, or I don't want to say struggle to remember,
Mm-hmm.
but I saw this and thought this was helpful. Um, Two examples of explicit memory would be called semantic memory, which is like know that word boat refers to a watercraft of varying sizes. So,
Mm-hmm.
or when you recall that Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States of America, you're pulling that from your memory bank, and it's not just like intuitive.
Yeah. So like facts and your general
It's a
knowledge is your
learned thing,
semantic.
yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Ray of Sunshine is here. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping in. And the second type of explicit memory is called episodic memory. So you remember the trip to London you took with your two best friends a couple of years ago, or you remember or think about your high school graduation ceremony, or recall a great dinner that you had at a favorite restaurant. These memories that you have to pull from that file system that I talked about a while ago. How your brain, with good memories like that, you can timestamp it and file it away and
Mm-hmm.
pull it out, think about it. That's explicit memories, or
Yeah.
episodic memory, or semantic memory, as
Yeah.
it were.
Or like personally experienced events, they class
Hmm.
that as. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. It's either a learned behavior or a learned fact, or it's
Mm-hmm.
an experienced um, event.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean for tonight? What are we getting into, Gemma? What are we explaining about other than just a concept overview?
Just to delve into like the difference. I know that the viewer that requested it, um, without giving away who it was. Obviously, we don't
Sure.
do that. They wanted to. Apparently, I've been given permission to discuss this because I spoke to them. They wanted to discuss the differences of it because they've been going through some counselling and going through the different types of memories. Apparently, it's down to some memory loss, which I've also experienced due to like trauma and things. And they wanted to discuss the difference. Apparently, it was mentioned within their counseling sessions, and they wanted to discuss what the differences were like between them and how we can like what's what and
So
just
how it pertains more so to traumatic memories or
yeah.
events than
Yeah.
good. Okay. Um,
Yeah, that sort of thing, and then what basically like what they are and how it relates to you, how it relates to the things you've been through, and just like to break it down really,
yeah,
because it can be
absolutely.
quite overwhelming because we don't think of memories as when you think of a memory, you just think of it as a memory or a good or a bad memory, but there are so many different ways to break them down.
Mm. Another quick shout out to Tony D and Joker Steve. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming in. Tony D should actually be streaming live right now as well over on the Nonsensical Nonsense podcast. So go check them out as well after you're done with us, of course. Um, but those guys are pretty awesome, and definitely give them a listen and a follow as well. Um, and speaking of that, I guess we kind of jump past that. Please also, uh, Hattie just had up our bio link. Um, I'll throw that up again. Go ahead and hit up our bio link. All of our socials are on there. If you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the mental health hour, if you enjoy the community we bring here, please give us a follow across all platforms, especially Spotify right now, because we've just jumped into the podcasting game. Now, they're available on most every podcast network, but Spotify has some incentives. If we reach some followers and what have you, we can promote it better and maybe reach a larger audience. So we need your help, if you wouldn't mind following us on Spotify. The link's in the bio link, and we can try and broaden this even further. Um, so we appreciate everybody coming through every week. But back to the topic at hand. So we've kind of gone over a brief overview of implicit and explicit memories. And the big thing to remember, as I said earlier, is that implicit and explicit memories are both a part of the long-term memory system. So you have three different types of memory. You have sensory, short-term, and long-term. Okay, and the implicit explicit falls under long-term. We're not going to get into sensory. We're not going to get into short-term because those are two different shows in themselves. So we're focusing essentially on long-term memory, and then maybe towards the end we could go over some of the effects of these traumas or whatever we do in our lives that can affect our long-term memory in the end, towards the end of life, with things such as Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. Tracy says, I love listening on Spotify. Puts me to sleep in a good way. Awesome. I am happy to hear that. That is great. And if you could push it out to all your friends, throw it on your social. Throw it up on any of your Facebooks or Tweeters or what have you. Can you listen to podcasts on Spotify and free app? Yes. As far as I know, I have no subscription necessary for these podcasts. They're all free. At the beginning, I think it was trying to make me have at least one episode. It was doing a mandatory thing where you have to have one episode checked as a subscription only. And I think I got around that by putting some BS intro music or something on there and made that one subscription.
A really quick one as well. I have it in my Discord, but I'll add it into the mental health hour as well. There is a bot that you can add to the Discord, and if you run it through the Discord, if you haven't got a subscription and it doesn't let you listen to it, if you run it through the Discord, it will let you listen to it in its entirety for free with no ads. So I will add that. That is a get around as well, and it still registers as a listen to the Spotify. So awesome. That's a workaround as well.
Awesome. And thank you, Hattie. Hattie's dropped the Spotify link in there for your convenience. It makes it nice and easy to swing on over there and at least hit that follow button for us. That way we can start building up on that and promote this further, which is the end game. We want to be bigger and reach more people.
And we're hoping to record some on there, aren't we, that are just for Spotify and stuff.
Yes, that is in the works. If things take off there, then we will certainly be doing some bonus content on there and definitely getting back to the YouTube shorts as well.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at a slide or two. We have a brief overview and get a little bit more in-depth long-term memory. Gemma, if you could take it away.
Yeah, so we have long-term memory, which covers both of these, as Tim has already said. And then implicit memory, so unconscious retrieval, non-verbal, procedural, so it's learned skills and tasks, emotionally and somatically based, and priming exposure to stimulus affects future responses. And then explicit memory is a conscious retrieval, verbal, declarative, so events and facts, semantic, so general knowledge of the world, and episodic, recall of personal events and experiences.
So there you have basically what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
When I went over explicit briefly, the semantic and episodic
Mm-hmm.
are the two types there. Um, Another thing to note is that implicit and explicit memory is also, it goes by a different name too. As you see here on the slide, declarative. Under explicit memory, it says declarative events and facts. Um, these are all. This is another name that explicit memory goes by, declarative
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah.
Whereas implicit has the procedural, as you see over on the other side. So you may not hear it called implicit, explicit. From what I've been reading, a lot of times it is just implicit, explicit, but sometimes they have it written and written out as procedural or
The
declarative.
way I have it when I was going into it further, procedural memory is like your motor and your cognitive skills, and
Mm-hmm.
then priming, enhanced, so it's like objects or words, and then the other one learning through classical. I can't read my own writing. Classical conducting. So it breaks down the implicit into three again, and then the explicit, like you said, semantic, which is facts and general knowledge, and episodic, which is personally experienced events like your holiday, things like that. So it's like a further breakdown of that again.
Yes. Um, let's go on to slide number 2. Just some
Mm-hmm.
more info.
Yeah. So explicit memory are encoded to memory and later retrieved, are often formed deliberately through rehearsal, can be encoded unconsciously and tied to emotions, and may be drawn into awareness through associations. And then implicit memory becomes automatic over time with repetition, begins with learning skills and mastering a task, can result in priming or responding the same way to similar stimuli, and is often dependent on context and cues. So another thing that when I was like looking into like ways of giving you like examples and things,
Mm-hmm.
like most people here, because you're doing it now, you can type on your phone on a keyboard, and we can do that, and that is an implicit memory because we're just doing it. However, if somebody gave you a blank keyboard with the keys but nothing written on it, you'd know where some of them were, because of it's like an automatic thing. It's like muscle memory. You know where to go for certain things. But I'm pretty sure that 99% of people wouldn't be able to fill in every single key, because that's when it becomes then your explicit memory, and you're trying to you have to try and remember the things, whereas when you're typing it becomes automatic because it's something that you've been doing for that long. You just know how to do it, and you know for the most part you will know where to go for certain keys, even if you can't touch type.
Yeah.
For a lot of it, you will know where to go for these keys.
That's a good that's a perfect example
Mm-hmm.
of using both implicit and explicit memory at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
um, or doing the same task. Like that's pretty good. I didn't think about that. How it is pretty intuitive when you're typing on the regular keyboard where the letters are, but
Yeah.
yeah, trying to get to everything else might not be muscle memory, which
Yeah.
is what implicit memory is. It's just muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
Another term for it. Uh, so yeah, it often depends on context or cues for implicit. Um, Not really much more to say. Um, on, what those two are. What is implicit and what is explicit memory? I think we've covered it pretty well, but we do have. Does your video? Gemma has a few videos, just two,
It's, yeah,
very
a
short.
couple. Yeah. Let
But
me.
I guess do they go over the terms, or is it something else?
Yeah, they go over it a little bit more. Let me just bring it up. Go on to full
Hello to
screen.
Craig, by the way. I see you popping in.
Me.
Thanks for joining.
Screen share. All right, here we go.
Declarative memory is a broad term which can include both episodic and semantic memory. An easy way to remember declarative memory is that you declare or communicate your memory to another. For example, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That is a declarative tidbit that some of you may have learned in school. Two other distinctions in the types of memory are explicit memory and implicit memory. Some psychologists refer to declarative memory as a type of explicit memory. Again, this is our ability to consciously recall facts and events. So we would say in some cases that semantic and episodic memories are types of explicit memory. We're able to describe and recall events and things that we've learned in the past. Now let's go take a closer look at implicit memory. So implicit memory is also called non-declarative memory because we cannot directly recall this type of memory. Implicit memory is a kind of memory that's made up of knowledge based on previous experiences, such as skills that we perform automatically once we've mastered them. Implicit memory resides outside of our conscious awareness. So for implicit memory, we know how to do something, for example, ride a bike, but it's difficult to describe how we can perform the skills we know how to do so well. For example, I know how to scuba dive, and I love to dive, but it's difficult for me to describe how you swim through the water, make sure you're weighted right, have to inflate or deflate your BCD. It's something you have to experience for yourself. On the other hand, Susan knows how to knit, and she can knit really pretty scarves, but if you ask her how to explain it or give you step-by-step instructions like I have, it's hard for her to do that. So for the example of Susan and knowing how to knit, she has to know where her fingers belong, where the needles go, and how to move the yarn around. This is an example of procedural memory. So procedural memory refers to the knowledge we hold for almost any behavior or physical skill we've learned. Again, this could be things like driving a manual transmission car, knitting, scuba diving, playing hockey, or any sport. Priming is another type of implicit memory. Priming occurs when recall is improved by prior exposure to the same or similar stimuli. In fact, memory is better for information that relates to prior knowledge.
There we go. Oops.
Right on. So, implicit, explicit, procedural, declarative, non-declarative, all the same thing, and all a part of our long-term memory. So, moving forward, now that we've kind of covered what those two are, let's take a look briefly at our long-term memory system and get a kind of understanding on that, so we can better understand how the implicit and explicit memory react or interact, I should say, with the long-term memory. I'm going to go to the systems first, Gemma, if you would.
Yeah, I'll just bring that up. All right. Yeah. So again, long-term memory systems. We have procedural memory, priming, perceptual memory, semantic memory, and episodic autobiographical memory. Nearly.
Episodic is fine.
Yeah.
They've always got to throw you a curveball there, don't they?
Yeah, always. Procedural memory stands for mechanical or motor-related skills. Priming means a higher probability of recognizing previously perceived information. So like with that, it shows you the picture of the rhino. Like if you see something like a familiar, like a shadow or a familiar object that's maybe something that's like out of focus or partly there, you will know what it is just by seeing part of it. Like, for example, you can do these quizzes and things online where you can see maybe a celebrity's eyes or something. Or even if you see a friend or family member, a part of them, because you recognize them, chances are you will know it's them just by seeing a part of it. Perceptual memory refers to recognition of stimuli and is judged, and I've just swiped out, there we go, is sorry, I'll start again. Perceptual memory refers to the recognition of stimuli and is related to familiarity judgments. Oh my goodness, my teeth. Put them back in. Semantic memory is orientated to the present and represents general context-free facts. And then EAM is the conjunction of subjective time.
Autonoetic
consciousness and experiencing self. So
Ella, the bunny mom, is in the house. Thanks for the resub.
It's like, oh hey Ella, and it's like with that one, like it says remembering things like you on their sister's wedding, friends and family's birthdays, items on your grocery list, things that you can just remember that like specifically with a date or something that's the same every year. You get to know it and things like that. So that's another example.
Absolutely. So this is a brief look at all the different types of long-term memory and how long-term memory breaks down. Procedural is obviously a big one. And they touched on priming in the video. It means a higher probability of recognizing previously perceived information. I'll have to look more into that one. But procedural, the daily grind, if you will, the stuff that you do without even thinking about it, like waking up, brushing your teeth, doing your morning routine. A lot of us have a daily routine in the morning, especially, that we could probably do with our eyes closed. I know, before I was transferred to a different firehouse, I was at Station 3 for 7 years, and I could have got out of bed in the middle of the night, pitch black, and gone to the bathroom and gotten back to my bunk with 10 other guys sleeping in there with my eyes closed. I was there for so long. It was just intuitive at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's these things that are the procedural, what it's talking about. And we touched on episodic as well, when you're recalling a good trip to London or, a fun time at a water park or a roller coaster. The hell I call those? Theme parks.
Yeah.
So things like that. And again, welcome to Ella the Bunny Mom. Thanks again for the sub, guys. We appreciate all subs, bits, likes, follows, shares, all kinds of anything you want to do to help promote us and get our message out there is awesome, and we appreciate that. I usually say with the bits and stuff that you guys donate, all of that goes right back into the show. It buys us things like the StreamYard subscription and all of that, so we can try and make the show better. And with that said, we also listen to all feedback. I know Hattie's thrown it in the comments for us a few times, the Discord and the bio link. But please head on over there and let us know what we can do and join the community. It's a great community of folks. Everybody that's in the chat, I believe, is over there. and it's
Yeah.
a good space.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully getting stronger and growing as it goes on, which is why it's like why we want to promote the Spotify. It's just a way of getting, I guess, more people to hear.
Yes, it's
And
certainly a lot easier to push out a podcast, an audio-based podcast, versus
mhm.
trying to build a Twitch following, I
Oh
think.
gosh, yeah, that's definitely the hard thing. I think trying to get a following in general is pretty hard.
Yeah. And so Ella
Um,
brings up something similar to kind of what you were talking about, Gemma. Her
mm,
muscle memory was strumming the guitar or playing the piano. Um,
yeah,
so that is something that was a learned and explicit thing for at first, but then now you know which frets to go to without even looking, or which
yeah,
keys to play, chords, etc. with your musical instrument. Um, and yeah, that becomes muscle memory. You just automatically know where those keys are, where the frets are on the guitar neck, and
mhm,
and next thing you know, you're pumping out songs without even needing to read music.
yeah.
Essentially, I
The
know.
same as like language as well. Like at the moment, like we're speaking English, that is an implicit memory because we know how to do it. But if we are learning another language, then we have to draw on the explicit memory and try and to learn that till it becomes something that we can do without thinking about it, like now, as we are learning it as children, and it becomes something. It's like I remember when I had Thomas and he was younger, and I used to think to myself all the time, I can't wait till he can talk. Now I think regularly, I wish he'd just shut up. But they pick up so much just by like
They're a
listening
sponge.
to people and all sorts of ways to pick it up. And they say that it is a lot easier for a child to learn a new language than it is as adults, and it's to do with the way that our brain functions and stuff. But
Exactly.
it
Yeah,
is
they're
like,
sponges. They
yeah,
absorb everything that's going on. I see it with Penelope already.
very much. Very
Jeremy,
much.
it's good to see you. Thanks for coming on by. Appreciate everybody being here as always, as we always say. Another good example from Danny Bruno there was driving stick shift or a
Mm.
manual transmission vehicle. It becomes muscle memory. It becomes intuitive. Um, Once again, Hattie, thank you for throwing up all the info that we're discussing as far as the
Yeah.
circles and what have you, for joining our lovely communities. And hopefully we can become an implicit memory for you as well. How about that? I wanted to go over, we got one more quick slide, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about uh, decline in long-term memory. But
Mhm.
but first, let's go over this, Gemma, if you would, please.
Yeah. Let me just open that up. Oops. Right. Okay. So all these words: hippocampus and long-term memory formation.
It's
I
almost like
saw you grinning at that one there.
it's
I'm like,
almost like the person that decides which slides he wants to put on the show is doing this on purpose.
it is. It's like they're doing it on purpose just to see if I can do it. Oh dear. It's like a language test. The brain stores implicit memories in two main places: the hippocampal formation and the neocortex. The hippocampus is part of the brain known to be required for long-term memory formation. Lesions to the hippocampus have been, oh my goodness, go on. No. You're going to have to.
Oh, canonically.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. That word, thought to prevent the consolidation from short-term to long-term memory.
So if something's canon, it's set in stone. It's true fact. It's 100%.
Mm-hmm. And then it serves to reactive patterns of cortical activity that encode memory content, hence resulting an experience of memory. Some studies say that the hippocampus will always be required to retrieve long-term episodic memories. Other studies also reveal that the hippocampus can form active memories quickly, while the cortex helps to stabilize these memories.
So I'm not going to lie. I saw this slide while I was finding some good graphics for tonight's episode, and I had to put this one in. Just reading some of the blurbs, I find it, fun.
Yeah, fun watching me try to say them, you mean?
Watch you trip and fall and stumble over all these words.
Oh,
But
why not?
It's it makes for some light-heartedness to the broadcast, I think.
Why not? Why not? I don't mind. I don't mind.
Sometimes we're talking about some pretty serious shit, like some really downer shit too.
Yeah.
And listening to you try and say hippocampal or neocortex, that could help lighten the mood a little bit. Anyway,
Why not? Happy to be that mood lightener if that's
it
what
is.
it takes.
It is important though to point out that the hippocampus, the area highlighted in green there on the graphic, is responsible for all these long-term memories. It's kind of that epicenter for when I talk about when we're discussing traumatic events. Your traumatic events are not making it there, not making it all the way into the file system. They're buzzing around up top here and staying in the now, as we've discussed. Whereas your good memories and stuff are being filed away in that hippocampus and able to be retrieved, explicit memories, when needed. So the hippocampus, I'm not by any way, shape, or form, and probably one of the reasons this episode wasn't my forte. The brain, I don't know how long I would have to go to school to understand even remotely 10% of what goes on in our brains.
Yeah, it's
I've
so
met
complex.
I've met some people on my path of recovery along the way, counselors, trauma, specifically the trauma clinicians, as they call them today, that are just mind wizards. They get it. They know exactly what's going on up there, and they know where to poke, prod, and pull out all of this deep, dark shit to help you process, in the end, to help you process that event, which is what needs to be done. We talked about it last week with triggers and what have you. Distraction is good if it's used like anything else in moderation. That's a key factor with distraction. So it's our go-to. A lot of us, I wouldn't say everybody, but a good majority use distraction techniques when some bad shit's happening. When you're going through it, if you will, you want to maybe hop on a live stream or talk with friends or etc. Watch TV. Anything to distract those racing thoughts and those intrusive thoughts and those negative thoughts that are constantly buzzing around in your head because of some event that has taken place or whatever it may be. Distraction can be helpful if it's done in a healthy manner, because if we start distracting too much, then we become detached from it. We're not processing it, and it's always going to be there. It's never going to go away, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So I think I can't even remember how I put it last week. I was just on a roll, and it came out, and I liked what I said. It was something along the lines of distraction turns to detachment, turns to isolation, turns to severe depression, something along those lines.
And that's
The,
true.
the exact quote from whatever I was rolling out there is on last week's episode with triggers. But I listened to that back, and I was like, man, that was good. We got to keep that around.
And that was an example of an implicit memory that turned into an explicit memory, because now you can no longer recall it. So there we go.
There it is. And
Yeah.
in motion. Are there suggestions of how to file away traumatic events? Ella asks. The image of my mom's flatline picture. That's a perfect question. Perfect thing to discuss. And we've touched on. We've definitely gone into it. Trauma processing is a work of art. It is done by what I assume to be very gifted people, or what I perceive. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say assume. I perceive them as very gifted people, because to me, you have to be some kind of savant to understand how the brain works. But that's just the way my brain works. It's a little complex for me, but it might be simple for them. It might fall right into their wheelhouse. But anywho, that's besides the point. Jim in Chicagoland, welcome to the broadcast. But back to Ella's question. So I had to work on that. And that was like the biggest piece of the pie, the biggest piece of the puzzle missing from my start to sobriety was these traumas that I've been through, whether it be shit that I see on the job or personal stuff like my divorce, which I had a huge trouble processing and getting over. You have to work with somebody to go over things, and we could probably do a whole episode on this, to be honest with you. But there's different things that we've touched on in the past, like EMDR. I can't remember what eye movement desensitization reprocessing, something like that. It's a part of trauma processing. If you find yourself a good trauma clinician, somebody
EMDR.
EMDR, yes.
Yeah. Eye movement desensitization reprocessing.
Basically, what it is it's a big, long, fancy word for somebody talking to you while you watch a light go back and forth with your eyes, and it pulls out all kinds of other shit that you wouldn't even. It's not hypnotism, but it's like along those lines. But anyway, you got to get with a trauma clinician, somebody that's deals specifically, a counselor that deals specifically with traumatic events and understands how to pull out what you need. It's called, they do something called Socratic questioning, or at least that's what I did along with my trauma clinician when we were reprocessing my traumatic experience. But that really had to be done because I wasn't able to do it on my own, and it was always just in and out. I was distracting too much, and I was self-medicating to forget. So obviously, I wasn't handling it correctly. And you had something to say, Gemma? I think I stepped on you.
No, you're fine. One of the things that you can do as well, which I've been doing with my therapist, and you can do by yourself once you've, I guess, initially done it with somebody, but like you can pick it up by yourself. Tapping and things, and it's like it's kind of a distractive thing, but it's about getting the brain to refocus again not on the bad things, but getting it to distract the brain and then focus on the here and now. And some of the stuff that you have to do is absurd, to be quite honest. Maybe when we're doing, I haven't got it with me now, but maybe I can go through it in one of the lives another time. But it's to do with like you have pressure points and things, and you're doing tapping like over your eyebrows, and, like on your cheeks, in here and things.
That might be a
And
part of EMDR.
yeah, and it's a way you
was more
say
than just a
certain
light
things.
bar.
So yeah, it's very similar, and you say certain things. You can make your own. I'm trying to think of the word now, but it's like you make your own. Oh God, what am I trying to think? Script, for want of a better way of putting it. So what you want to focus on. So like for me, it's like, say for example, like what Ella said about the processing the traumatic events that she went through. Like I don't want, like saying things like I don't want to feel like this. It's okay to feel like this. I accept and I acknowledge what's happened. It's just processing. You can script your own thing for each event or for each thing you want to overcome, shall we say, and do it. It's like they're in different stages, and you can go through it all. Like going through different parts of your body, tapping and things, and then it quite literally is about like if you find yourself where you are maybe not in crisis, but like getting to that stage, and you want to distract from it, take yourself away from that, and then put yourself back on a path that isn't as distressing. It's about another way of like mindfulness and about like,
Exactly. Those are mindfulness techniques as well.
Yeah, but definitely I can send you something to help maybe with that, hopefully.
Yes.
But certainly real quick.
So Ella said, I think I need a good old-fashioned slap instead of some tapping. Really, that trauma processing with a certified psychologist, counselor, clinician that specializes in traumatic events and the traumatic brain and how that works is just what you're talking about. It is a slap across the face, a good old-fashioned slap, but it's a metaphorical one. It slaps you without even being touched. You just walk out of the room. What the hell just happened? But you feel like 30 pounds lighter. And by the time you're done with it, you're letting all that stuff go. It's basically traumatic events and stuff just stay with us. Like our fists are clenched 24/7. And then you finally process it and you work alongside someone or with EMDR or in conjunction with hypnotism and tapping and shit like that. And it finally releases. And then it's like, holy shit. Wow. And then I was able to then go forth with starting a life of sobriety because, like I've talked about 100 times, I had to understand what the hell was going on with me first. I wasn't able to get over anything or let alone take on the very important step one of AA, accepting that my life has become unmanageable and that my life, I was out of control, essentially. I wasn't allowing myself to fully come to terms with that until I really saw what was going on inside of me, But that would be my suggestion, and kind of with what Danny was saying about, hypnotism to be used in like quitting smoking, for example. I think I don't have anything against hypnotism. I don't think any type of mental health treatment or whatever should be taken lightly or bashed. If you don't believe in hypnotism, that's fine. But some people find a lot of comfort in it, and I'm all about anything that helps you. And so these types of things, though, I believe should be done in conjunction. Hypnotism and the tapping and what have you should be done alongside some actual therapy, some actual sit down, talk it out, let this person climb inside your mind like you wouldn't believe, and then do the other stuff along with it. Mindfulness walks, all the grounding techniques we talk about. Distraction is fine, in moderation. Don't let it become all you do is distract, just to keep, from all these.
It doesn't work long term. It really doesn't.
Absolutely not.
No.
I just wanted to touch briefly before we wrap up. I wanted to touch on the decline of long-term memory. The basic, and we will be. I've already written it down on our list after doing some research for this show. I'm digging the thought of a long-term memory towards the later years of life. What happens, how it degrades, how it breaks down, what goes on throughout the years, whether it be disease or just time, because time in and of itself can affect our long-term memory, obviously, especially if it's not something that we do intuitively.
Yeah.
But memories are fragile, it says, and this is coming from Very Well Mind. It's one of my favorite sites as far as anything mental health goes. Memories can be surprisingly fragile and susceptible to change. In one of her most famous experiments, blah, 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 why is long-term memory so susceptible to inaccuracies? In some cases, people miss important details about events that can take away from the memory itself. And then a couple of questions that briefly will hit. How long does long-term? Let me try that again. How long does long-term memory last? And it said that it can last a lifetime. But to be considered long-term memory, it's usually anything over a few days. Implicit memories. And which type of long-term memory is most resistant to loss? Implicit memory, the intuitive stuff, is most resistant to the memory loss. The stuff that you do without even thinking about it. It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, the stuff that you do without even thinking about it is what you're going to retain the longest. Whereas those explicit memories that you have to pull from the hippocampus will be the first to degrade and waste away with time. And lastly, how can I improve my long-term memory? I think somebody asked that in chat earlier in the episode. Is there things we can do to keep our long-term memory sharp? And strategies that may help improve your long-term memory include exercising regularly, of course, getting plenty of sleep, and using cognitive training to strengthen your mind. Cognitive training can be anything from playing a musical instrument to doing a crossword puzzle. Some kind of thing that you're working at your brain, basically. Think of it that way. Jeeves, good to see you. So I just wanted to hit that, but these last three questions in particular, memory loss, especially later in life. I think we will definitely do an episode on that in the near future. It's interesting. And then, of course, I do want to touch on short-term memory and what was the other one? Systematic sensory. So we'll touch on those two as well. Do you have anything else on the topic at hand tonight, or should we go ahead and wrap up?
Only thing I really wanted to say when you're talking about hypnotherapy and stuff, if you are going to go for that, make sure it's somewhere reputable for a start. Like, there are people online claiming to do all this stuff, just make sure it's somewhere reputable. As with anything, any kind of therapy, anything that is personal to you, anything that will do anything to you or your body, make sure they're reputable. And as always, if you are having therapy of any description and it's not working for you, you absolutely have the right to change. Definitely recommend journaling when it comes to memory loss, things like that. My dad has vascular dementia and his memory is declining pretty quickly now. A good thing to help with memories, as I've found with stuff like this, make little video clips, photos, journaling, things like that. That can help with your memories. Trying to take away negative, not take away, they're never really going to go away, but make it less sore, I guess. Focus on the good memories that you had. Like with the loss of someone, focus on the good things, make a journal, a good thing. I found with loss, scrapbooking and things, putting together good memories, going over the good memories, that can help. But yeah, like.
And another thing I just saw that I forgot to mention about improving is avoid multitasking. I thought that was very interesting. We always think multitasking and getting more done is
I'm terrible. The
productive.
number of things that I will start and I end up finishing nothing.
Sure. Well,
I start a million
that's
things.
ADHD playing a role in that. But apparently, multitasking helps with memory loss as it divides your attention and can interfere with the memory encoding process. So multitasking may be productive for the short term, but not for the long term. Anywho. Nice milk bottle, thanks. Anywho, that was our take on implicit and explicit memories, a viewer requested episode. Again, with all of our viewer requested episodes that we go over on the show, please, if we didn't cover something specific about what you requested, hit us up in the Discord. That is probably the best place to reach us. I'm on Twitter a lot. As far as the other ones go, I'm not so much a part of Facebook. I'm not a big part of Instagram, etc. But hit us up on one of our DMs. It's all in our bio link. And definitely join the Discord because we're always on there. Let us know if you need more information or if you wished we would have gone over something. We can always come back next week and touch on it briefly. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and go through some community calendar. First and foremost, our own show. We got to promote that as well. There it is on the screen for those of you watching the replay on YouTube or are here with us live right now. You can scan that QR code. Our Mental Health Hour special episode is what, next week? No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks away. 2 weeks to submit those questions. The question form, I can actually just scan that QR code there. And if you're listening on Spotify or any podcasting site, go to the bio link. That's https://bio.link/TMHH. And it's on there as well. Submit a question to the show. We'll be doing about an hour and a half broadcast. They usually are of Q&A information. You guys ask a question, and as long as they're appropriate and within the what we deem appropriate for our show, then it makes it onto the show and we discuss it. And it can go longer than an hour and a half. Who knows? We'll see. But they're always a lot of fun, and we have a good time with them.
You can actually submit questions on Instagram as well. I've been putting them on the Instagram story so that you can either directly click the submit a question to the Google, or you can send it with Instagram. Bear in mind that it's not anonymous if it comes through Instagram, but I won't say who it's from anyway when I'm reading it out, so only Tim and I will know who it's from. I'm not going to say who it's from, regardless of whether I know who you are or not.
That's right. It's completely anonymous, and we've done 3 of these episodes in the past, and they've all come off great.
Yeah.
Again, Catalyst. Every week we tell you about it. Why don't I see all of you there? Because probably it's 11 o'clock where I'm at, and 3 o'clock in the morning where Gemma is. But I stay up for it. I'm up anyway with Penelope. Catalyst with Jim in Chicagoland over on his channel. He's a great supporter of our show here, and we love to send you over his way as well. This is another great mental health related stream. In my opinion, it's mental health related. Join the fun. Sit by a fire pit or candle, weather dependent. You might have to move it inside by a candle, but that's how it started, by the candle. And then just relax and unwind and talk amongst all of ourselves about whether he has a specific topic or we just free flowing. Again, that's Catalyst with Jim in Chicagoland. His handle is there, and that's every Wednesday night in his 5th year. 5th year, we should say. A Ray of Sunshine 21 does a great stream as well. I was just on his stream last night and listening to some great positive stories, positive vibes. We highly recommend him. Another longtime supporter of our show here. Of course, Beardo and Weirdo are back from their hiatus. And we already mentioned our live Q&A. Eric J. Gaming is also there in chat. We interviewed him on episode 41, I believe, with anxiety. And then last but not least, our favorite bunny lady, Ella, the bunny mom, is in chat today with us. So, as we tell you every week, please go to www.mybunnyvalentine.com. Use the promo code FireDude15 to save 15% off your purchases. They have great, Ella has great merchandise there. You got electronics, you got everything from apparel items, some why can't I think of the word I'm trying to think of? Fashion,
Yeah, fashion, jewelry, hats,
jewelry, exactly.
all that good stuff.
Everything bunny to help out the bunnies. It is her Ella's mission to rescue every bunny rabbit in the world. So help her out with that and catch her streaming late nights on Twitch. Late nights, like after Catalyst late, where she strums on her ukulele and guitar and sings us some tunes. But that is everything we have. And thank you guys for being here for episode number 62. That's 62 weeks of the Mental Health Hour, which is well over a year now that we've been doing this. And we're grateful to still have a following and that you guys come back every week. It's awesome. Really is.
Yeah, definitely.
So next week, we'll see you here, same time, same place. And we'll have another great topic to discuss. And then the following week after that, we'll do our live Q&A, number 4. All right, guys, we will see you next week. And thanks again for all the subs, bits, likes, follows, shares, etc., etc. See you guys. Bye.